Hey, how you doing? Yeah, man. Sorry about that, man. That you having some computer issues.
All right, that's okay. I got it fixed now. I'm back, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Just doing stuff around the house, but wash clothes and things. But I said we got to do this, and then I was listening to Kulik and Dawson show. So once again, we got attorney Gavin Rashad in the building. G Boot 2786's YouTube channel and donate to $ Gavin Rashad Esquire.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat so everybody can look at it. Or, well, I can't put it in the comment section, but I'll put it in the private chat. Gavin Richard Esquire uh, is my. If you want to copy and paste it, that's my cash app. If you guys like to donate, Bernard, I appreciate you bringing me on here, brother. As always.
Yeah, man. So they actually talk about the same subject over there that I'm about to bring up.
Oh, what's that?
We got an old friend named Jeremy Lin. He used to play in the NBA, and he's saying that they, they call him coronavirus and all this other nonsense. I'm like, look, man. And Dawson was pointing out to me that Jeremy Lin also was making comments about us when he was playing for the Houston Rockets. And I forgot he used to play for Houston too. He
Yeah, he
played for the
did.
Lakers. He played for a lot of teams actually. Come to think about it, won a championship with the Raptors. So
He played for New York. I remember when he played for the New York Knicks back in, I think it was like 2011, if I'm not mistaken. And they
yeah,
had this thing called Linsanity because that was what they had called him at that time. Because I believe the Knicks were on a winning streak, if I'm not mistaken, and
yeah.
yeah, they had a turnaround. Although they suck now, uh, still do suck then. But Lynn, he wasn't really outstanding. First off, an outstanding NBA player, but he's been. I I'm curious about that because the coronavirus started in 2020 around that time, and he didn't play in the NBA when that started. He played for the Beijing Ducks, and now he plays for the Santa Cruz Warriors. So uh, that's a that's a NBA G League team. So I'm just curious at what point all of that stuff happened to him because remember too, the NBA, we didn't have crowds. There were no crowds. What's up, Doc Boss? There were no crowds back in 2020. So who's sitting in the audience calling him coronavirus?
I guess it got to be a player or something. I don't know, but
But yeah, but you think about that. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a fan because we didn't have fans.
yeah. I
After
mean, it's
when
crazy,
this stuff
man.
started, yeah, I mean, and maybe it happened before they put the ban on. I don't know, and I don't doubt that they don't have discrimination against Asian Americans. It goes on, but what I don't like is how somehow or another we're being made the faces of that. That I do not like, and it's very dangerous. It's problematic. When you take even to account when you see the Biden administration, you see, for instance, in New York and California, these lawmakers that are proposing legislation to protect Asian Americans. I look at that, and there is nothing there, though. However, that they are doing for Black Americans. That whenever we talk about reparations, they always tell us, well, it's not feasible. Yet they approve monies for all of these other groups. They approve it for Native Americans. They approve it for LGBTQ. They're even approving it for people who are not even American citizens. And as Sean broke down, when we're talking about hate crimes, back comparing that to the number of lynchings that occurred in the United States during the 1930s, at that point, it doesn't even match up what they're alleging. I'm not saying that they haven't gone through anything like that, that they don't have some people that are acting a fool, but overall, I know of Black Americans don't really mess with any other group. We mess with each other, and the only time we ever go into a Asian grocery mess with Asians is when we go to a convenience store. Are you going to one of their fried, their chicken places? There,
Okay,
if
so I tell
they're
you this.
Chinese restaurants, things of that nature.
They put up
Yeah,
4 videos, at least 4 or 5 videos of Asians attacking black folk. As a matter of fact, there was a guy named Tyrone Muhammad from Chicago. They had a video of where he told the women, "Y'all need to stop patronizing." He threw the bricks in the store to Asians, and the women later after that, not the same day, but they came back and patronized the business, even though the business was boarded up because of the glass broken. So, so actually, that's another problem. And like you said last night, it ain't about boycotting. Just stop going there,
yeah,
because a boycott is temporary until you get your result. Just don't go there.
right. A boycott basically means we're not going to go there until they make a change on something. But from what other people have said, I've seen Tariq Nasheed even say this: black people should not be patronizing these stores at all unless it's a dire emergency. I can do without. We have in Baton Rouge when I go there, they got fried chicken places and in the communities and so forth. And while they're good, I can do without them for a while. I do it without them for good if I want to, uh, you know, but try and cut back anyway. But from chicken, but my main thing that all of this stuff has done, I really believe it's going to push a further divide uh, amongst ourselves. I mean, we have our so quote unquote leaders like Al Sharpton, who's going around praising, defending Asian Americans. This man, when he was in the White House, more than any other black leader, even more than Dr. King, he did very little to push things for black people. He's an opportunist. I don't really care for him anyway, and he has a show that nobody watches, and that should tell you a lot about Al Sharpton and why he's brought out. His show is on MSNBC. Nobody watches it, but they still bring him back over and over again. Melissa Harris Perry is not even back on MSNBC. So, having said all of that, we have too many we have too many sellouts who are in top positions, and part of it starts even with the black church. They have sold us out in many ways. Not to say that this is not attacking religious beliefs or anything. I'm just talking about the fact that these are our quote unquote leaders, and they are doing very little, and they can be more active than what they have done. One thing I've noticed, and I told Dr. Randy Short about this, I've always noticed that in the poorest neighborhoods, why is it that the church is the best looking building, but the homes are dilapidated?
That's
I
right.
always
When I
thought
went to
that was
Houston,
these mega
that's right.
churches, and they've said very little. So what you're seeing, though, Bernard, this is what I've stated was going to happen under the Biden administration, that Black Americans would be pushed further and further into a permanent underclass. And the fact that they are being promoted right now as such a high priority, that the media is talking about them. And it could be that this is also part, like Judge Joe Brown. Yeah, excuse me, of a bigger issue regards to the Equality Act that's being passed, and it's a distraction that may be. But what I saw in that ABC special, even though it was a 20-second clip, uh, I thought it was great, disgusting. I didn't like the message that they were trying to convey. As Sean put out, as brother Phil Scott from the Advice Show, formerly the Advice Show, pointed out, we have not attacked Asian Americans, but I've seen videos of Asian Americans attacking blacks. Would they dare interview those families? What about Latasha Harlan's family when a little girl was shot in that grocery store back in 1992 in the back of her head? And the woman who shot her, I can't think of them. I have it right here.
Her name is Sue or some Zoom or I forgot her last
Soon,
name.
her name is Du Soon Jadu. All
That's
right,
right.
Soon. Yeah, she shot her in the back of her head and only got probation.
Yep,
I'm gonna
that's
share,
right.
all right, if I could share it with you. That's Latasha Harlan's. The judge in the case was Judge Joyce Carlin. The jury recommended a sentence of 16 years when she was convicted of voluntary manslaughter, and the judge issued time served. meaning that she had already fulfilled her time, and gave her 5 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, $500 in restitution, and funeral expenses. And that funeral footage, that shooting was caught on security footage, and the later sentencing and failed appeal were considered to have contributed to are considered to have contributed to the 1992 LA riots, especially the targeting of Koreatown, which, yeah, I think it did. As Ice Cube even put in his music, Black Korea, he had a song. Uh, yeah, it was called. Yeah, he had a song called "On Black Korea" on Death Certificate album that talked about that, uh, as well as Tupac. He had "Keep Your Head Up" and a few other people. So they never mentioned this. And by the way, the judge never was removed from the bench.
That's right.
She got reelected to the Superior Court bench.
Yep, that's right. Now, let me take that out for a minute, and we're gonna talk about our old, well, not our old friend, white America's friend, Mr. Barry Soetoro, who now he says reparations are justified. But I want to say something about that, Gavin. He really didn't say he really supported it. He just said it was justified, but he also said he could also understand why white people would not agree with it too. So he never really supported it. He just gave himself a crack through the door to make it seem like he was on board.
Yeah. Well, he also said something, and I didn't see the actual video, so I hate to talk about something that I don't uh, that
I
I
know what he
haven't.
said. You go
Uh,
ahead and say it.
but he mentioned, according to Vicky Dillard, something along the lines that all of America wasn't built on slavery, or something. I'm paraphrasing, uh, right?
Yeah, some yeah, that's what you got it right.
Right. And this is when I look, and this, the president, who is, I think, in many ways, although it's probably not the same today, but I think in many ways now he's worshiped and glorified by so many people. He continues to disrespect the African American community, the Black American community. Barack Obama, when you look at his history, he has always done this. He is a man that has always talked down to Black men. When he spoke at Clark Atlanta University in 2013, and he gave a horrible speech about how I'm not going to get out here and complain, and it's time to put on your shoes and get working and stop blaming this and that. And I don't know if you all remember that speech that he did, but he basically was talking about Black men. And it was a highly insulting speech that he did. And he also did the same thing in Chicago a few years earlier when talking about Black men and Black fathers. If Black fathers are all absent in the Black community and is the cause of everything, which is not true. We have more Black fathers that are actually involved in their children's lives than anything. Although the familial situations have changed. He told them, stop complaining and take off your house shoes and put on your marching shoes. That's right. And he did that in 2013. Let's not forget also in 2015, he called those kids in Baltimore that was upset over the Freddie Gray incident thugs and hooligans. Now, I don't condone looting and rioting per se, but I have to see where was the outrage then uh, from Black America, as we saw in recent years when Donald Trump was president. Your leaders and congressional Black caucus members, they were even offended by Barack Obama's comments with regards to Baltimore, that they actually sent a letter to Barack Obama condemning him on his language. A lot of people don't talk about that. So he continues to disrespect Black people. And when it comes to reparations, it's really too little too late for him to even discuss this, because in his 8 years as president, he had a chance to discuss it, especially given the fact that he approved hundreds of millions of dollars to Native American tribes. He renegotiated that. Remember, even this pipeline, XL pipeline issue, he sided with the tribes in that community, the Keystone pipeline. He sided with the people in that territory with that. He also approved monies to go towards LGBTQ groups. Look at what they're doing with regards to uh, the military, allowing transgenders to get sexual treatment, to get sexual reassignment surgeries, which in the military, which is paid by the taxpayers. That's taxpayer money that pays for all of this stuff. So when people say, "Why does that affect you?" Well, it affects all of us because we're paying for it. And I think we could be doing better things with our lives. We could have had much more under his presidency if he wanted to, especially in his first 2 years when he had a Democratic Congress. Those
Now they
first,
call you white resistance.
well, it was called white resistance, but still, he had an opportunity to get things done,
Yeah, I know.
specific advancing a black agenda, even if it wasn't reparations. Let's take even reparations out for a second. The stuff dealing with affirmative action, redefining that. Remember, although white women benefit more from affirmative action than black men, he was opposed to that. He stated vehemently that he was opposed to reparations before he got even became president. During an interview with uh, Tanishi Coates, he walked out, I believe, or no, it was Dr. Julianne Malvo who was asking questions about reparations. To which point, according to Dr. Boyce Watkins, he got upset and walked out of the interview. And this was back in 2008, 2007 when he was running for president. And a lot of people thought Barack Obama was going to be, uh, I guess, Jesus Christ, because I literally remember people with stars in their eyes saying, he going to pay my rent. My rent going to be paid. All my gas bills are coming. Oh, thank you, Obama, Obama. You get stopped by the police. Negroes were saying, oh, please, Obama, get me out of this. Get me out of this, Lord. Let Obama get me out of this. That's how but that's how close we are, relying on symbols and symbolism. And we never got substance out of it. So this man is a joke. I don't care who gets offended by me saying this. I think it's disrespectful that he is even talking about reparations now when he had a chance to do it 10, 12 years ago when he was in office. Mr. President, it's too little, too late.
That's right. I just looked at it as more a continuation of the Equality Act. The same week you're trying to pass, did you come out and say this? And that's to deflect from what you're really doing back here. I looked at him coming out. He always comes out when they're doing something over here. That's what he does. He's a shapeshifter.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the deflection thing. Uh, from what's really going on. I see people premiering videos on it. This man had, like I say again, he had an opportunity to speak out on this and he failed to do so.
Yeah. Like my brother right here says on Bruce Springsteen's podcast of all places. Okay.
Well, that's his podcast too.
Okay.
He produces that. His company, his company struck a deal with Spotify, and he and Bruce Springsteen, do that podcast together.
Yep. That's right. Okay. Now, let's talk about this so-called Equality Act, which is nothing more than a smokescreen too, because there ain't nothing equal about it.
No,
But well, wait a minute. Actually, it's more discriminatory towards me and you, but it benefits them.
yeah.
Yeah, because that means they get to
Well,
go. They get to frolic in the churches. They get to frolic on the track, Juana Man type stuff. They getting real
Tawana,
crazy.
man. Well, let's look at this too, Bernard. Uh, Most people don't read any of the bills that are passed in Congress. And that includes our representatives as well. They do not read the laws. Uh, they just simply go along with it. If it sounds good, then it's good. They don't read what is exactly in the language. That is problematic when you don't read everything, because if you don't read everything, you will miss something. So this bill, when you go on Congress's website and type it in, and read it, the one thing that I've noticed and what it does not do was provide an exemption or exception rather to uh, to your religious institutions. It is not a the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993, which was designed to protect and to promote religious liberty. Back in '93, that was signed into law by Bill Clinton. That it explicitly states that the bill prohibits the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993 from providing a claim, defense, or basis for challenging such protections. So what this bill does, it talks about transportation services, funeral parlors, healthcare, accounting, legal service. Well, that will impact me as an attorney if I chose not to represent, someone trying to change a transgender bill, or if someone not someone challenging anything on LGBT. Because as lawyers, we have a duty in our code of ethics if we choose not to accept cases that we think would conflict with our beliefs or anything like that. We are entitled to decline if we see fit. So I look at this, and people need to look at this carefully. You can go on Congress's website and look at it because it did pass the Congress by at least 200, and I think it was 224 to 206 votes, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but uh, people ought to look at this and state that they better make some changes to this bill, because what this will happen, and in effect, is will destroy and put up a direct confrontation with the religious liberty of the United States under the Constitution, the First Amendment. It'll also impact your freedom of speech. It will impact your religious liberties, and also in regards to Title VII with women, when that was amended to appeal to have more equality in sports for females, that will actually erase women, because you're going to have a biological male, sharing a bathroom, or even in sports, even forget the bathroom part. Uh, you will have someone in wrestling, for instance, uh, that will fight a female and can do some serious damages. A male, regardless of how he classifies himself or what drugs he takes, is still a male by his bone mass, by his structure. That cannot be altered in any way, shape, or form. Your muscle strength would still be with you. And I think that we're creating and setting a very dangerous precedent. We may not be able to get ourselves out of. So be aware of what you wish for, because you just might get it.
And look like we about to get it, goddamn. Hopefully it doesn't pass the Senate, but we gotta see, man. I don't
Well,
know.
Kamala Harris holds the tiebreaker. So I know that in this last election, in this last impeachment thing that we had, they did not have the requisite amount of votes in which to uh, grant a grant on a come down with conviction on Donald Trump. But I don't know. I doubt. I'm hoping it won't pass, but if it does, beware, because lawsuits still would be filed. I think there are institutions that will file lawsuits against this, especially Christian organizations. They need to pay very close attention to this uh, situation. The I what's interesting is that whenever I see them testing this, they're testing Christians out, and Catholics like myself, but they won't do this in the Muslim communities. You ever notice when I've never seen a lawsuit brought against an imam or against a mosque or anybody who's of Muslim faith, where they refuse to bake a wedding cake for. And I've seen examples of this where someone tried it out and they refused to do it. And that's because as Muslims, I mean, let's be real, a lot of them, and I'm not stereotyping anybody, but you know, there's a innate fear of them because we know they don't play that stuff. If you went in it, they would. I'm being real with you. If you went into a mosque right now dressed as a man, especially I'm talking about black Muslims, they'll check you at the door.
You're right.
They'll check it at the door. No, you ain't coming in here like that. I remember when Minister Farrakhan spoke at UCLA, and you had kids that walked out while he was giving his speech because they were upset of things that he was saying in regards to trans LGBTQ. What he has always stated, and like many, even no different than the Christian organization and Christians or Jews, Orthodox Jews in particular, they've even said they don't support it either. The Orthodox Jewish community, they actually stated that they will not teach LGBTQ history in their class. They've come out and said it. Uh, they've actually come out and said we're not tolerating this. It's the reform with Reform Judaism. My understanding, especially in mainstream stuff, they have been more accepting and open to this, and they are in conflict with the Orthodox Jewish hierarchy. So what I'm seeing here, uh, you're gonna have it's gonna be a big mess, Bernard, because it's just I see a lot of lawsuits being filed against this. There are already lawsuits being filed now to prevent boys from biological males being in the girls' sports, female sports. And what's gonna happen with that when you're talking about a man boxing a woman on pay-per-view? That's gonna
You're
be
right.
insane. They've already had it with this MMA fighter Fox that retired. This is a man that fought in the female division and broke a woman's eye socket.
That's right.
So what you know?
Well, this how I'm gonna say it, Gavin. You know, I just look at it like we got degradation society. We got people daggone dropping bombs on Syria. You got the war hawks again. I mean, everything getting back in smoke again, man. Getting back to that the Obama and Bush years again. Wow, we're getting that back to the past. That's how I look at it. Um, Globalism and elitism. This is what
Well,
they
what they
see as
want, right? What they want, Jay Bag says that this is what they see as equality. Yeah, what they see it as they don't. I don't even think they see it as equality. It's just labeled that. They see it as it's basically totalitarianism. It's fascism. It's homofascism. It's uh, it's really uh, superiority if you think about it, because it's pushing all of the norms that we have set as an example as a society for thousands of years. Uh, they're changing that. Redefining marriage. It started with that. It really started even before that when sodomy laws were outlawed in the United States. A case called Lawrence v. Texas is what overturned your sodomy laws in the country. That was in 2003. Then of course, you had in 2012 or 2013, I believe, the Supreme Court struck down the Defense of Marriage Act or part of the Defense of Marriage Act. And then subsequently in 2015, Oberfeld decision 5-4, the Supreme Court said it was gays had the right to be married pursuant to the 14th Amendment, using the example set in Loving versus Virginia. Although we know that being black and being homosexual are two different things. That's not even the same cup of. That's not even the same category of fruit. But people have used our stuff and piggybacked on it to further and advance their agenda, and we're seeing the results of that. And I fault many of our elders and our civil rights leaders who didn't put enough protections in, and even getting stuff us because right now again we're being pushed in a permanent underclass by even groups who are not. It's not even a race. Illegal immigration is not even a race. That's not even a class. That's just somebody breaking the law that entered into this country. I don't.
Hey man,
Yeah.
so they said one time you was on the back of the bus and you still gonna be on the back of the bus. That's how it look, right?
Well, the problem is we don't own the bus company.
Yeah, that's right. Um, Now I did want to say to you the other night, I'll just bring up this one topic. Um, I'm not gonna be on here too long, but I want to bring up that topic about that Me Too thing. They're trying to
Yeah.
slowly come back in. They're trying to creep back in.
Right.
Here we go again. So for every R. Kelly, there's a Harvey Weinstein. For every Charlie Rose, there's this guy. For what this guy named Wheeler from the Seahawks. I mean,
Chad Wheeler.
so the fact that Toronto Burke can sit right there and talk about black men on TV, and black violence in the black community, and women that are speaking out. I'm like, wait a minute, Toronto Burke, talk about the other people. Oh, but I forgot it's not your job to go after white men. My fault. Sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's not your job. So what is your job? You just a front. Me too.
Tyrannosaurus Burt.
So she just
Tyrannosaurus,
a front.
Tyrannosaurus Burt. That's what I call her.
So she's just a front, right?
KRS2.
She's just a
She's a.
front then, right?
I think she's a. I think she's an agent. She could be. I think she could be an agent. Uh, Me Too movement. I've said this. It's basically it's a big con. It's a hit. It's just a way to make money off of pain, so-called pain, because I think that while there are elements of it that are true, yeah, women do get raped. Women don't report rape. However, when you try to circumvent our justice system, our due process laws in this country, our constitution, which states that all people have a right to uh, life, all people cannot be deprived life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. You are creating essentially a lynch mob that seeks to rebuild and reclaim itself here in this country on old founded stereotypes. The oldest stereotype in America against black people and black men in particular was that he was a sexual deviant and predator that was going to rape and attack white women. And for Tarana Burke and Juicy Jussie's sister to be on there with Stale King, uh, you know, on there talking about this stuff. When I saw on Twitter Jernay Smollett uh, happily, she was acting real giddy about black women saving Biden's in this election, saving Biden in this election, when Mr. Biden, President Biden, has been accused of sexual misconduct as well. Trump has been accused of it, but so has Biden. And we saw, I even did the story on Tara Reid on my podcast on Anchor that uh, the USA Today had an article where they tried to discredit. They took an opinion piece from a former prosecutor, where he tried to discredit Tara Reid's accusations. So they went all out to do this, to discredit someone who allegedly is a sexual assault survivor and victim, or at least a victim. I say allegedly, but they did not reciprocate the amount of uh, the amount of outrage that they had for one Bill Cosby, or even a Kobe Bryant or an R. Kelly, and even Morgan Freeman was accused of some Me Too stuff, but it didn't hold up because he was able to prove that uh, the so-called the woman who did the article and hit piece for CNN was upset about an interview that had taken place earlier, that how Mr. Freeman had addressed her. So it didn't go anywhere, and a black woman actually who worked for WGN that they tried to use on Morgan Freeman to say he was inappropriate about commenting on her dress. She refused to go along with it. She stayed on code. So again, what we have
Go ahead.
again, what we have and what we're seeing, and I'll wrap it up with this one. Me Too is actually gonna be, I think, will has lost all credibility. I don't think that it's gonna go too further with a lot of this stuff, and I couldn't be happier. You know, I think that this is a very dangerous time we live in, man. When someone can accuse another person and have no evidence, and I think it really shows the hypocrisy in the movement.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. Well, I'm glad that all this stuff is getting exposed, Gavin, because for real, they've been at us for a while. A couple of things. Tomorrow, I know you got a show. You will be doing the end of Black History Month. You had a wonderful show with Tom Mesereau,
Yes,
um, Sean James, me, you, Thursday. That was good. Um, I know that.
I got one coming up Tuesday too that you all want to be tuning in. The gentleman that we did the interview with Judge Joe Brown and Valerie Denise Jones. Uh,
Sam Cook thing.
Yes, the Sam Cooke thing. He will be on Tuesday uh, to discuss his work and research into Sam Cooke's death. And I know a lot of my subscribers and followers would like to watch that because they have a keen interest in. Uh, I've gotten requests that they had a keen interest in those type of shows that I did, so they could see that again. Albert Lanier is the gentleman's name.
Okay, well, I will near. So I just tell people to look out for that. So people
Yeah.
need to tune in to G Boo 2786 and watch his program on Tuesday. He has podcasts on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We usually with Sean James, but then sometimes he'll bring me to judge, even Queen Abinah Shakur and others. So that's pretty good. Gavin keeps a good show going. Also, he doesn't bring people like Dr. Common Johnson on, who is
Oh yeah.
actually close to DC. But yeah, man, I'm just glad to be back home. I was in Houston for 3 days. That was interesting. I mean, drinking bottled water, but I just want to give a shout out to Dawson, who's doing a show with Kulik right now. And, you know, thanks for touring me around and all the great people in Texas that made my time wonderful. They had a lot of problems catching flights, but, hey, hey man, who knows? I might be in New Orleans one day. I know y'all say New
Okay.
Orleans, New Orleans,
Dollars.
New Louisiana, but according to Black Wall Street Trapper, y'all call New Orleans, Louisiana, Louisiana. So that's interesting.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, different strokes for different folks. But yeah, you ever come down to New Orleans, we'll definitely hang out. If you want to talk about something else, I'm game.
Well, I, I just wanted to bring something up. This is just gonna be just
Go
maybe
ahead.
something I'll bring up. So earlier this week we heard about the Fed. You heard about that, right?
The feds.
The
Oh,
Fed, the Fed,
Malcolm.
no, 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 no. The Fed. It was like they was the Federal
The
Reserve. I think
Federal
the
Reserve
yeah,
System crashed. Yeah,
yeah,
that did happen.
yeah. We have to watch out for that. I just want to bring up that we're gonna have to watch out for that because that actually could have some dire consequences when it
Well,
later down. The line.
it went down temporarily, if I'm not mistaken. Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it lasts. I thought that I had mentioned that. I thought that was interesting because, of course, that will affect your banking system when you're trying to move things, when you're trying to shop. Obviously, all your information, people save all their information, and I'm guilty of it online. So any credit and banking transfers, monies that's being sent, all of that got delayed. I don't know, and I haven't heard any complaints from anybody that, to my knowledge, that have said anything about that. But I thought that was interesting. I'm also just looking here to Bernard. Right now, they're saying someone shared this Professor Black truth. This HBO. I just to get back to the Me Too thing on HBO Max. There's a show or a documentary called uh, Farrell versus Allen, which is about accusations that Woody Allen had molested his daughter Dylan. And HBO has already announced, and this is how white supremacy works, that they have no intentions, while they have shown this documentary, they have no intentions of removing any of Woody Allen's library.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. And we know about Woody Allen, right?
Woody was like Paul Mooney said this. Woody was growing, Woody was growing some pussy. That's what he said uh, on his comedy album. And I've always heard stuff about Woody Allen, things of that nature. And Woody Allen, of course, uh, you look at that in relationship though to what happened with Bill Cosby, how they were taking the Cosby Show off the air. They were removing his Netflix specials. They took away his Netflix special that he had filmed on his birthday in 2014. That was taken off the air. Uh, you know, they've taken some of the movies and stuff and specials he's done. So you see a complete difference in how one group treats another. And I saw it even with Kobe Bryant now because somebody else is bringing up the fact that I saw on a Huffing, I think it may have been Deadspin, if I'm not mistaken, that Kobe Bryant doesn't deserve to be on the new face of the or the new NBA logo because of the rape charge that he had. Kobe Bryant was brought to court over this rape charge, Bernard, and they found that he was innocent. Now, it didn't go to trial because you're familiar with it. The girl had so many, I'm not trying to sound nasty, but it was true. She had a damn train going on in her drawers. I mean, my goodness, she had more mayonnaise dropping than a hero sandwich. I I mean, what they it was so many, yeah,
Oh man.
no that no defense attorney would not have brought that up. Not even one that's less experienced. So they had to. So they acquitted him, and even based on what she described as to what happened, and there was another news article, the New York Daily, I think it was the New York Post. They were a little bit more unbiased in their reporting. The man went to the court hearing and even said the woman reported she only complained of rape because during intercourse it got painful for her, and she didn't tell him, I think, until after it was over and he apologized, or it was during mid coitus, and he said he was sorry, if I'm not mistaken, and that was the end of it. They stopped having sex. So, how do you correlate that with rape? How do you correlate that with rape?
Wow.
It's part of that "I'm white and I say so" thing that's going on, man. It's like
Yeah.
that kid in Texas that was walking home from work in snow and in the snow, and he's telling the police officers, "I'm going home. I'm getting off from work," and they keep bugging him and asking him, "Tell us your name. Tell us your name." He didn't have to identify himself if he didn't commit a crime.
That's right.
So they dropped the charges, but they threw extra shit on him.
Yep. Well, I will
And
say this.
if it wasn't recorded and it went to court, he would have a felony on his record.
Well, I'll say this to you, brother. Brother just texted me and asked me, "You from Houston?" I said, "No, you from New Orleans." But don't worry about it, brother, because he had y'all in mind because he was saying a lot of lawsuits should be filed about what happened in Houston. So he still had you in mind. So that's pretty good.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, the brother, you talk about that kid?
No, no, no. Well, no, no. I think you see, it's a guy in chat. He says, "Come on back down, big bro." He's talking about coming back, telling me to come back to Houston. That's what he's saying.
Oh, yeah, 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 man. Oh, you were talking about when you were in Houston. Okay, cool, yeah, yeah. You ought to go back sometime, man. I was worried when you were going there because you were driving there. I thought,
No, no, I
and
flew.
okay, good. But I thought it would still be bad because I had been hearing stuff about Houston, about them, not having running water and electricity and power is out. I mean, look, I have uh, people I know across the South that are without power and without electricity and without access to the internet. So, you reporting on that stuff was pretty good. But yeah, I thought you were. I wouldn't have gone down in myself around that time, but I mean, good for you that you went and you hooked
Yeah,
up with.
I didn't get there till Saturday, and I stayed there till. Now I will say one thing that was messed up though when I got there. My buddy took me to Sam's Club before I rented a car, and I had a problem with bag situation and all that stuff. As a matter of fact, I had a flight troubles coming back too, but that I'm not even getting to that right now. But what I'm saying, I'll tell you that another day. But what I did notice when I went to Sam's Club, there was no produce and no water.
Well,
They were taking it all. And I'm a person that eat a lot of produce, so that kind of I was like, wow. I told him so. I went to HEB, but I'm just letting you know that hey, look, this time the people took the food and the bare necessities. They didn't take the toilet paper and all the hand sanitizer, all that. So that was pretty good. Just
yeah, that's
saying.
good.
So um, so in a couple weeks, I guess that you might get a stimulus, which I tell people I'm not really concerned about the stimulus. I want to know where the rest of that 1.9 trillion dollars is going. I actually know where it's going, but I'm just saying we ought to be
Yeah,
raving hell. You give me $1,400. Why are you giving 25 million plus in hundreds of millions to other countries and other entities?
right. Yeah, that would be interesting.
But
You know,
like oh
and again, $1,400. People are gonna jump for joy over that, but everybody really should be making more than that since they've been out of work for 10 months, a year, and some people are still out of work. Some people haven't been able to recover, especially if
well,
you're a small business owner.
well, that's the thing. Like I told the guy, they closed down your small business. Like down here, I'm sending to you later. Best Buy is laying off 5,000 workers, but they made more money during the pandemic. So what the hell is going on? Down here in Virginia, they're laying off 314 workers.
Well,
So a
they're
lot of companies,
they're cutting back on workers because they don't want to pay them.
that's right.
That's why.
Yeah. Whoa. Oh wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. Happened. Yeah.
No, you're right. I was
All
just
right.
wondering what happened, man. I was like, whoa, what happened, man? But I will say this, brother. I'm glad that you are doing fine. And, you know, hey, we just got a lot of things to work on and pull together. So when you get a chance, you know, come back on the program and I come back on yours and we'll get into this stuff because the next couple of years are gonna be very interesting. Matter of fact, I'm gonna watch the CPAC tomorrow and see what I think Trump and some other people come on. So I'm gonna see what they're talking about. It seems like they're talking about everything they said. It took 33 days to launch a missile strike in Syria, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna be in wars for a while now. So get ready, buckle up, and fasten your
Yeah.
seatbelt.
Main thing I can say about Donald Trump, he never got the United States in a major war.
That's good.
Yeah. Best thing I can say about him. So that was always a good thing. Most presidents, while there's still a United States military presence around the world, he was not actively, although, yeah, there may have been some strikes that he did. I mean, he wasn't initiating and moving more troops into Syria and Afghanistan. Like Biden is reversing all of that, and it's insane. So we'll watch. We'll see what happens.
So everybody just remember this is Gavin Rishad presents on Anchor, GBU 2786. Donate to his cash app at $ Gavin Rashad Esquire. And Gavin, you
Right.
got any last words you got?
You all please just to first off, thank you, brother, for having me come on again. It's always a pleasure to be on here to chat with you and your guests. I'd ask people to stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm going to have Carl Galman come on. He's an activist. He's a voting rights activist. For the last 80 years of his life, he's dedicated to civil rights for Black people uh, in the city of New Orleans and in the South. And we're going to talk about some stuff like gerrymandering and also a little Black history in New Orleans if we can. And the other thing I like to say to Tune In Tuesday, we'll have on Albert Lanier. We're going to talk about the murder of Sam Cooke. So those are some things that I'm doing. Also, look out for my podcast. I'm going to do some recording tonight where I'm going to be talking about some of the issues that we just mentioned, especially this thing with Barack Obama. I think that that's my main touch talking point for tonight. So I'd appreciate you guys can support. We're on Spotify. We're also on Apple and Anchor. So that's all I have
And
to say.
keep me posted on
The
the
Spice.
Spice Company. We'll get to that later. We'll talk about it
Yeah,
another
most
time.
definitely. I have the Spice Company coming soon. We're just working on legal stuff and trying to get that fixed, and then we have our. We're definitely gonna have some music dropping soon. So just stay in mind for that.
All right, well, you take your time, brother. Keep on pushing.
All right, thank you, brother.
You too, brother.